Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified Zentangle teacher. Welcome to day 10 of our Inktober series. In these videos, I'm showing you a new tangle every day for 31 days. And I am getting these tangles off of a list created by Stephanie Jennifer, a CZT. And each year she puts out a list of 31 tangles for us to try. So this is day number 10 of those 31 tangles. If you are just starting today, you can just try this one on your own. If you want to go back and add the first 9 to a compilation piece, you can. But really, each video is just meant to show you a new tangle and meant for you to do whatever you would like with it. Okay? So today is Sweet Pea by Yoko, and I'm going to pronounce this probably wrong, Kajayama. I'm not sure, I'm so sorry, Yoko, but her tangle is day 10. It's called Sweet Pea. So I've got my micron pen, a graphite pencil, and a blending tool. I have added the first 9 tangles to this compilation piece, which is just cardstock, and it's an 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to draw first on the 2" by 2" tile from Zentangle.com, and then I will add it to this piece. Okay, here we go. Move this out of the way. Keep our little sweet pea here and zoom in a bit. Okay, there we go. All right, for Sweet Pea, this is such a beautiful little tangle, and her step outs for this can be found in the packet that is linked below this video, the description. And when you click on Sweet Pea, it takes you to Yoko's step outs and shows you how to create it. I do it a little bit out of order, so if you want to follow hers, go right ahead. But I begin with my pencil, and I'm going to draw this column in the back first with my pencil. She adds it in later, and every time I try that, it comes out a little bit uneven. So I'm going to put mine right here. So basically, I'm just going to draw this nice wide, probably about the width of my finger, just this double line on my tile. Okay, I'm doing mine right in the center, but yours could be anywhere. And then I'm going to continue with my pencil for a moment. So put your lines in the way that you would like. And then we're going to make this rounded line kind of like a ribbon. And I'm looking to get about 3 or 4 of these curves in. So I'm going to start at the top, right? Let's see, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go this way and this way and this way and that way. So kind of have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I was able to get 4 in there. If it's easier for you to turn it and kind of do these going like this, you can. But adjust them, get them the way that you want them to look. There we go. All right, I'm going to switch over to pen. If you are still wanting to use pencil, of course, go right ahead. Okay, I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to trace. Grab a different pen. I use these pens so much. My sketchbook is full of me practicing all of these, and then I forget which ones are new and which ones are old. Okay, it does not matter where you start or end. That's really not important. We just want to have a couple of these little bumps sticking out. All right, so the next step is to put in these little spirals, and they're going to come up off of each curve. So we're going to do one here and here and here, and then I'm going to do half of one up here. So when I put this in, I'm going to sort of follow this line here, and then I'm going to jump out and I'm going to put in this little spiral, and I don't want it to touch this line. I'm going to do it in pencil first just so you can see. I'm going to jump along here and put in a little curve. See how it just kind of follows this line out? And then I'm trying not to touch this line here. Okay. And now I'm going to finish this area instead of going down because I want you to see what it's meant to look like before we do the last two. So once we get this cute little rounded spiral in, then we're going to aura it, but we're going to aura it, so like we're going to go in here and we're going to put an aura around this little circular part, so right here. And then I'm going to dip down and touch. See how I did that? I went up inside here and I just imagined this little aura coming down, touching that, and then coming up and around. And then we're going to get closer and closer and bring that in. This took me several tries in my sketchbook before I was able to get the feel for it. So if you're not loving your first one, keep practicing. Okay, and then off of this, we're going to do these bumps and tuck in. We've done this on several of our, let me go back and look here. We did that on this one. We did that on that one. Yeah, we've already done that a couple of times. Okay, and each one I just kind of tuck down in there like that. Okay, now I'm going to go to this side over here. So I'm going to follow that bump up, and I'm going to give it a nice curve and then give it that spiral. Try not to touch the bottom here. So I'm going to come up and give it a little spiral. It doesn't matter if it goes out wide or it comes in narrow. It really, really doesn't matter. And then once I get that in there, then we do the aura, but we start right up in here. See how I'm choosing that spot to sort of continue that white space. So I'm going to come down and around and then tighten and tuck it in. See if I can get a piece of scrap paper here. All right, well, let's pretend that you came up and yours touched like that. Then you would just do your aura here, lift your pen, and then come out the other side. See how it doesn't really matter? Or let's say you went out too far and now you don't have a space to aura. So aura here. And now you've got this space, just do another aura. And you can still do these. There's always ways to fill things in. Okay, so now I have to do these little bump outs here. 1, 2, 3. Tucking them right into there. You work on that for a second. I'm going to close a door. Okay. And then we're going to go this way. So we come up the side. And look at that. I bumped into it on accident because now I'm like out of breath from running across the room. So when I aura it, I'm going to come down here and then I'm just going to jump out the other side. Look at that. It still works. And put in those little bumps. Okay, so up here, I would just do a partial one, you know, if I was going to continue. However, instead of that, maybe I'll just turn this into a spiral, just so they don't have to go up there and mess around with that. See, no one knows. No one knows what it's meant to look like at the top, so we're just gonna do that. And I could still aura it if I wanted to. Turned out great. Okay, now I'm going to add in these little lines that we started with. So that is these. And I love this little detail because it makes it look like it's wrapping around a column of some sort. And then inside these little areas that were left, we can darken them fully, or, which, okay, I'll do that first. We're going to darken it fully. But also, if you wanted to, you could add a little circle in there and then fill in around it. Just another option. This one I will fill in all the way just because I did that first on that side. All right, and then we have some extra spaces, and what Yoko does is adds in, because basically it's done now, but if you want to add in a few things, you can put in some printemps, which is just spirals, and a couple of orbs, and fill in that extra space. Isn't that pretty? And these are in no specific places. You're just kind of adding them to fill in. And then we're always inking in those little extra areas that are kind of left behind. So pretty. All right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to add my initials and do a little bit of shading. That's such a fun one. It's so elegant. Okay. So to shade this one, just to keep things kind of quick, we're going to put in some graphite at the bottom of each of these shapes like that. And take our blending tool and just slightly push it up. Beautiful. Then I'm going to just put a quick line on the outer edge of each of these little bumps. And all that's going to do is give these bumps a little bit of dimension, as if they're tucking in behind each other. And I don't even really need to blend it much. I just kind of soften it, and it gives that tiny little shadow. And then I'm going to put some on the inside edge of that column, anywhere that you can see it. And then push that out just a little bit towards the center. And that helps us feel like that column is rounded, and maybe these sides are kind of dipping back and away. And that's all that I'm going to do for that. So pretty. Okay, it's time to add it to our big piece. This part always makes me nervous because I don't ever have a plan. Okay, here we go. How are we already on day 10, a third of the way through? Move some of my stuff out of the way here. Okay, so when I think about being on day 10, and I can imagine this paper, this 8.5 by 11, being in thirds. So I've kind of got a third here, and then maybe a third in this corner, and a third in here. So I'm doing pretty well. If you're on day 10 and it's really tiny up in the corner, you need to start drawing a little bit larger. If you're on day 10 and half of your paper is filled, then you need to draw a little bit smaller. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, here we go. Where should we add this little column? So I kind of have a column type thing here. So I'm wondering if maybe I should put it down here just to sort of connect that to the bottom. Does that feel like too long of a space? No, I think that's where I want to put it. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to adjust my camera here because now I'm going to be working up against some things. All right, just hang on for 1 minute. All right, I think we can see it. All right, so I'm going to put that right about there. I think that will look great. And now what I want to be conscious of is that I've got this straight line here, and it would have been cool to make it go over the outside edge, but since I already inked this in, I'm not going to do that as much as I love it. I'm just going to let it bump into it, and then I'm going to fill in the extra space with a whole bunch of these Printemps in circles. That's my plan. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here. Now, if you are in a situation where you love the idea of where I placed mine, but on your paper, maybe your winterly is up much higher or somewhere else, or you don't really want your column just floating, like some other options, I could tuck it into there. And at the bottom, I could just put, I could just end it with like that diagonal line. And then if we aura it, it won't even look like it's just hanging out. You also could use it at like an angle to connect a couple of things, or put it up in a corner and connect. Okay. Or you could do it down here and just make it really long, or put a different tangle at the bottom. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start by putting in that column with my pencil, much longer than the tile I just did. but still about the width of my finger. Maybe a tiny bit smaller. I didn't mean to do that. Maybe it was the size of my pinky finger. And then we're going to put in those bumps or waves. And I'm just going to have them go from side to side to side, like so. And I get my pen and I'm going to trace over those. I feel like this is taking up the space of where two tangles would go, but I'm okay with that because I really like how it's connecting that to the bottom. All right, I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker now because we've already learned it. So we're going to go up to these bumps, and I like to go along like the bottom of it and then come up and give it that gentle little curve and spiral. You can start in pencil if you would like. The other thing is I want the spiral to take up kind of a lot, like at least half of the space in this area. If you make it really tiny, you've got a big open space to deal with. So you want these to be kind of nice and big. It's kind of a tricky movement, coming up and around and then back in. Looks like a little tree. Now I'm going to do those auras, and I'm going to start here, come around, and tuck in. Start here, go around and tuck in. I like them better when I start coming in kind of high versus like this big moon shape. Just my personal preference, but obviously I did them all different ways on each one, so it doesn't matter. Then we put those bump outs in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this one got large and it just disappears behind the frame, behind that outer edge. Now I'm going to trace those columns. So I saw it done in another example where she put the columns in afterwards and made them come out here more. And it really looked like these like little folded sections. I don't know, it was so cute. But this is what my brain wanted to do. So sorry, that's what you're stuck with. But check out other videos and see how they did them. Okay, I'm going to add a little circle inside each of these just because I like the way that looked. And then I'm going to ink around them. add the tiniest reflection in those. You can also add some little darkened areas that just kind of connect. See how putting that little darkened area there connects that swirl to that line? You don't have to do that, but it's kind of a fun little extra. And I want to show you again like how beautiful but how flat this looks compared to the one that we added graphite to. Just such a difference. Okay, I'm going to start throwing in some Printemps, just some, some spirals and then some little circles. I'm going to put some on this edge, and then over here I'm going to try to put quite a few to sort of fill in the space. So I'm going to make them a little bit larger there just so I can get that area filled in. I like inking in any little areas that are left over. So I put one here, but maybe I'll put one up here as well. And then you could even aura some of these. So watch what happens. This one's just kind of dangling there in space. And now if I aura it, I've made it larger. And now it looks like it's tucked in behind there. And then I can ink in this little area here. I'm gonna add one here. And then I'll add in just some little circles. I still have a lot of white space, so I'm going to add some auras around some of those circles or some of those Printemps. The great thing about Zentangle is nobody knows what you're doing, like your family and your friends, and so whatever you do will look magical and amazing. And they're not going to notice that you've got a little bit of space or that you double aura'd something. But see how I'm just kind of trying to make this have less open area for me to ink in. Add a circle, aura it. This area here, I can aura that Printemps again, and now I just took up a whole bunch of space. And now I can ink in. Well, that side turned out pretty great. All right, I'm going to put a few over here. Not as many because I don't need this to be completely full. If you look right here, I just put in this little orb, and again, I've got this space up here, but what if I aura it? All of a sudden, I have very little space. I'm gonna put a large one down here just to sort of seal it all together. And I'm gonna aura this whole side. It's not necessary, but I think we did it, you guys. think that looks pretty amazing. All right, pause it if you need to just work on that for a moment, but I'm going to add a little bit of graphite and then we'll be done. So I'm going to add some at the bottom of each of these little tucked in areas. It doesn't need a lot, especially if you're using this plain white cardstock. The graphite just spreads so easily on here that you do not need a lot. And I'm going to do a little bit different shading. Instead of putting a little bit on each layer, I'm going to just add a little bit to the top of each of these. And what that's going to do is sort of make it look like this part's tucking in, then this part is up towards the light, and then that back area is tucking back in again. Just a different way to shade this. Just going to put a little bit at the top of each of those little bumps, including the spiral. Beautiful. I'm going to put some on the inside edge of the column. And where my winterly overlaps, I'm going to put a shadow underneath it. And I'm not going to shade in my Printemps or my extra little circles. You definitely can if you want, even if you're just adding a little bit of graphite to one side of it, that would be fine, or wherever they overlap, that would be cute. But I think I'm just going to leave mine. I think I've got enough shading in these areas. And one last little thing I wanted to show you is inside these little spirals that we made, if you ever want to thicken a part of it, look at how much like dimension and drama that adds. Like just by thickening that line. So if you want to do that, you can. It's just fun to play with thicknesses. And even over here on your Printemps, you could thicken like one, like that left-hand side of each of those. And look at that, how cool that looks. This one, maybe I'll do the right-hand side. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to be done. That was day 10, you guys. Please share on Facebook at Let's Tangle. I would love to see what you've been working on and how yours is turning out. And I hope that you are really enjoying this challenge. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 11. Thanks. Bye-bye.